Welcome back to Locked In Podcast. Before we dig into the episode today, let me tell you about the sponsor for today's episode, which is Life Advantage. Oxidative stress, it's in everybody's body on this planet. It is the leading cause of aging and disease. What if we could reduce that by 40% in just 30 days? We can. With one NRF2 activator taken daily, your oxidative stress levels will be significantly lowered while supporting the body's natural ability to repair and rejuvenate its own cells. Activate healthy aging today with one little yellow pill. If you'd like to learn more or purchase NRF2, reach out to me directly on IG at SER_Sage or visit the link tree in my bio to check out the LifeVantage website for yourself. Thank you, LifeVantage, for sponsoring today's episode. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Locked In Podcast Season 3, Episode 13 here today. Today I will be joined by a beast on the mat with a high school record of 156-25 in Illinois, a four-time state qualifier there and a state champion, with a college record of 119-38 for the Michigan State Spartans, a five-time D1 national qualifier, 2019 Junior Greco World Team member, 2020 Big Ten runner-up at 184 pounds, 2022 U.S. Open champion at 92 kilos, and tied for the sixth most career wins at MSU, Cameron Caffey. Let's bring him in here, guys.
Hey, Sage, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. It's crazy. You have a long list of accomplishments. How does that make you feel hearing that?
The one accomplishment that I wish was there is just that All-American or national champion. So,
for sure.
But without that one, the rest of them are just like, stat patters.
Yeah, I mean obviously Big Ten. Some people say that Big Ten's is just as tough as the NCAA tournament because Big Ten wrestling is.
You do say that.
Obviously the best. So yeah, I mean it's a tough one. And you took second there. That was to That was to Aaron Brooks, right?
It was to Aaron Brooks back in 2020, and obviously that year
right.
he didn't get the tournament. Yeah. Isn't it so weird hearing that five-time qualifier thing? It is. Just you never used to really hear that. I just saw somebody talking about Starachi in some forum online, and they were saying that his fifth title was a slap in the face to all four-timers, and I was like, okay, I don't think it's that serious, but I guess if you want to go there, it's like
yeah, dude. I want to say Yeah. Oh, I am too. I'm happy Dake won yesterday, so that's a great thing. But the five-time is still crazy. Absolutely. Like, I don't think it'll happen again, at least not anytime for a very long time. So, all right, guys. But yeah, so you guys can follow Cam on Instagram here as displayed on the screen. It's Cam on the Lamb there. So make sure you guys go give him a follow there. Before we hop into the interview, Cam, kind of just how we know each other. I trained at MSU quite a bit coming through high school with you guys, and just trained with Tony Jones. It was kind of me, you, and a couple other guys in there that were scrapping quite a bit. It was fun times, man. I miss those days.
Dude, I miss those days too, man. We were young. It was nice having you come in, and I feel like I even remember the first time that Tony was like, hey, I want you to come in and wrestle with this kid. And I remember I wrestled you and your dad would be sitting over there on the side of the mat too. And yeah, no, those were great times, man. If I could go back right now, I would.
Yeah, absolutely. He was always sitting in the corner, man. That's one thing about my dad. He always wanted to learn and watch, and he was never one of those like crazy dads that would jump in and say something. He just wanted to sit back, watch, and learn. So.
Oh, dude, dads love that kind of stuff too. They love just being able to like sit around, like absorb it and be like, oh yeah, that's my kid right there, as you're like double legging somebody. Yeah,
exactly, man. Exactly. It's funny, but so we're gonna dig into your career here. Have a lot of questions and just kind of digging in year by year. So, but let's start before the deeper conversation here. What age did you start wrestling, and what got you into wrestling?
Yeah, so I started wrestling when I was 10 years old. I was in 5th grade. And, I'd been wanting to wrestle before I was in 5th grade. But I told my dad I wanted to wrestle, and he pulled up a bunch of pictures of cauliflower ear, and he was like, this is what happens to people who wrestle. And I was like, oh, my God. And he's like, do you want that to happen to you? And I was like, no. So we kind of got delayed by a year or two there, but my brother and I were playing flag football,
Mm-hmm.
And one of the other coaches on the other teams was like, "Oh, like you should bring your kids out for wrestling." And so we ended up going out there, and you know, stupid, but I seriously thought that it was actually going to be like professional wrestling, like hitting each other with chairs and punching people. Like I'd never seen amateur wrestling before, so like I fully expected to go out there and like really be kicking people's asses. And
Right.
I get in there, and we have the first practice where he sits everybody down. And he's like, Coach Carl's like, yeah, wrestling is the hardest sport in the world. And he looks at me and he's like, it's even harder than football. And like, I hadn't even played tackle football yet, but off flag football, I was like, there's no way it's harder than football. Like, what is he talking about?
Right.
But yeah, I'd say those first couple weeks or that first month or so, it was the game Sharks and Minnows. I don't know if you know what that game is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that was what was keeping me in there that first month or so. But once I hit that first tournament, I was like, okay, now I'm hungry. Like this is fun. Like I like winning. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And then obviously wrestling is way harder than football. We can all agree on that, right?
So much harder than football. So much harder than football.
So I mean, there's so many people that just argue it, but I played both at a pretty high level, and you've played both. I mean, it's like, dude, it's so much. Like I never came off the football field ever. Like I was on every position, like every special team and everything. I go to wrestling season. I step in the first practice, and I could barely breathe within the first half hour of it compared to the 7-second burst in football.
Well, I mean, football, the breaks are built in. Basically, like you just said, 7-second bursts, 10, 15 seconds at the most. The breaks are built in. It's it's a completely different sport. I don't think most football players would be able to survive on the wrestling mat.
No.
At least not for a normal practice.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You throw them in there for like hey, it's a call out drill day, and then we're wrestling live. It's like, yeah, they ain't got nothing. First off, they don't know what they're doing. So
yeah.
But yeah. So other sports growing up, was it just flag football? Did you have other things that you played when you were growing up?
Yeah. So I played a little bit of tackle football. I never actually played it in high school though. So I played tackle 6th grade and 7th grade. I ran cross country 6th grade and 7th grade. For tackle football, I was just too small. I weighed maybe 70, 80 something pounds, and they kept running me up the middle. So that didn't really work out that well.
Right.
And then cross country, my gas tank just was never really great. So I was on JV for cross country, and then I was like at the store with my mom sometime in 7th grade, and I ran into, because I used to also do judo. So I started in judo, and then I kind of moved over to wrestling.
Okay.
And so I saw the guy who teaching me judo. His name was Master Han, and ran into him, and he's like, oh, at some point you're going to have to choose one sport. And he was like, Allie Reagan chose one sport after this year, which Allie Reagan, she's from my hometown. Her dad was my high school coach. And she's like a really, really good wrestler. She's like a multiple-time world team member and world placer.
Gotcha.
And so I was like, oh yeah, Allie Reagan, she chose one sport at one point, and you're going to have to do it too. And right when he said that, I was like, oh, well, guess I'm just wrestling from here on out. Like the rest of the sports aren't really that fun to me anymore. So yeah, I started just wrestling, and that same year I also started doing freestyle and Greco. So 7th grade, started doing freestyle and Greco. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. And that the judo background explains, when we get into it a little bit more, why you were so good at Greco too, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a big part of it, just body control, general body control, hips, being able to use my hips and some of those weirder throws that I don't think people were really ready for.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense, man. So where did you grow up? You're from Illinois, correct?
Yeah, so I was born in Chicago, but I just say I'm from Carbondale because I moved to Carbondale when I was 3.
Okay.
So effectively, I'm from Carbondale.
Okay. All right, Cam. So take us through your high school career here. You went from did not place 5th, 4th, and 1st, starting at 126 pounds and then ending at 182 pounds. Take us through those years. What did that look like? And you can touch on freshman year and then sophomore and keep going year by year.
Yeah, so freshman year, I never had to cut weight consistently for a whole season until I got to high school. So prior to high school, at most of those youth tournaments, they do like blocked weights. You just go in at whatever weight and they'll kind of work it out. So I hit high school and I was weighing maybe like 138, 139, and I wrestled a couple matches at 132, and I think also I might have wrestled one at 138, but ended up cutting down to 126 by maybe the third or fourth competition. And yeah, just
Okay.
kind of having to deal with cutting weight all season. So that was actually, I used to, this is just an aside, but like I used to eat cereal every morning. And once I started cutting weight, I wasn't able to do that. And my body's never readjusted to milk. So that's kind of sucked. Um,
Really? That's
yeah,
crazy.
just, yeah, random caveat to the weight cutting, but went 126 that first year. Um, I think my record might have been 35 and 13. Did all right. Barely qualified for state. And really, one of the main reasons I qualified. So for Illinois, it goes regional, sectional, state.
Okay.
And so at my sectional, one of the other top guys ended up not being able to wrestle because he got caught stealing or something like that. And
Okay.
so he got kicked off the high school team, and he was like a top 10 ranked guy in the state, whereas I was like maybe an honorable mention, like a low, yeah, I think I was a high honorable mention. And so him not being there was what kind of gave me that pathway to qualify my first year.
Yeah.
Qualified, went 0-1 because Illinois used to have follow the leader, so your guy had to make the semis. So I wrestled a guy who's ranked, I don't know, I think he was number 2 or number 3. And he went out there and got pinned by the guy who was ranked number 1. So,
oh man,
when he got pinned in like 30 seconds, like it wasn't even close. So went 0-1 my first year, and I was like, dude, like what was that? So that was over. Wrestled freestyle Greco that year. I was maybe, I don't remember what weight I wrestled. I think I wrestled 145 freestyle Greco. But that ended at freestyle state because I was doing pretty well. I might have been like, I think I started off the tournament like 5-6-0. And then I wrestled this kid who like he had my leg on his shoulder, and then instead of trying to trip me, he just did this. And so like I went up, came down, and my elbow popped out. So that was I think that was the worst pain I've ever been in. But
yeah,
that happened. So that season was over. That next year, I went 145. Yeah, that next season I wrestled 145. Again, I lost my first match at state, and I was like, dude, like, how does this keep happening? Lost my first match. Thankfully, that kid was good. A kid named Pat Schoenfelder. I think he was at UNI for a little bit.
Okay.
He had been at UNI for a long bit, but wrestled a guy named Pat Schoenfelder. Was able to wrestle to the backside. Ended up taking 5th. And, I was feeling pretty good about myself. That freestyle Greco season, took 2nd at Greco State, and then turned around and took 1st at freestyle state. And that was like, so that was kind of like the big, I wouldn't say career shift, or maybe mindset shift, but those were like my first real accolades, was like that year taking 5th and then taking 2nd and 1st. Because with Illinois, there's kind of a lot of politics that determine whether or not you're going to make it until like the junior and cadet dual teams. I'm trying to think of what they're called now. U17 and U15 maybe is what they call them.
Yeah, yep. But, that should be it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of politics that determine whether you get into those teams, but I was undeniably one of the best guys, along with the other kid who I wrestled the same kid in the finals of Greco and freestyle state, which I also ended up wrestling him the one time that I won state for folk style, but that's later. So finally was able to make a dual team, and usually they take 2 guys at every weight. just because it's just better for, it's a lot of matches. Between freestyle and Greco, you can wrestle anywhere between 10 and 15 matches in the span of like 4 days. But the other kid had some family stuff going on,
Right.
so it was just me at that weight. So I wrestled every match, which broke me down, but was great experience.
Okay.
So once you make one of those dual teams, it gets a lot easier to start
Yeah.
making more dual teams. People kind of know you a little bit, start knowing your face, knowing your name a little bit. So that was kind of my break into the upper part of the state, and like actually having people know, oh, okay, like I know who this guy is. This isn't just a guy from down south. And that was kind of another big thing, was being from down south in Illinois. There's a lot of, I don't know if I call it stigma, but people definitely have less respect for you, which
Okay.
I don't know. I guess we kind of turned that around my last couple years of high school, because out of the down south guys, it was like me and Zach Branigal and Danny Branigal, who they both were like 2 or 3 time 1A state champs, and they wrestled for Illinois for 6 or maybe 7 years. I think they've been there 7 years. Yeah.
Jeez.
Well,
One of
they
those
just ended this last
situations.
year. Yeah, and
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that one of them was a blood rounder this year, but they're
Okay.
both wrestling Greco now, and they're both some of the top guys in Greco in the U.S. But yeah, so breaking into that was nice. And then obviously the next couple of years, I had some pretty big weight jumps. Went from 45 to 170, took
Yeah.
fourth. Every one of the guys who placed in that bracket ended up going D1. Guy who took first, Cordell Northfleet, he went to Arizona State. Second was a guy named Cole Witzig. He went to North Dakota State. Third was David Riojas. He went Illinois. Fourth was me, Michigan State. Fifth was Randy Miniweather, he'd already been a 2-timer up until that point, and he was expected to win it, but just didn't.
Okay.
He went to Air Force. And then sixth was Jake Lanning, and he went to Buffalo. So that was a pretty stacked bracket, and it was nice to see that out of the best guys in the bracket, I wasn't at the bottom. So that was kind of another big deal for me.
For sure.
And now we're at the point where I should have like started to get looks from schools. I go to at the time it was called FILA Cadet World Team Trials.
Mm-hmm.
I go out there. I'm doing pretty well the first couple matches. I think I hit the quarterfinals. And I dive in on a shot, and a kid named Jake Allar, and he goes to gator roll me. Shoulder pops out. So that was the end of that. Yeah, that was the end of that tournament. And I'm like, yeah. And it was like a 10-hour drive out there too. So it's just a bad situation all around. And so they pop it back in. We're leaving that next day. And, one of my coaches, Coach Richards had drove me there, and his son is a dude named Zane Richards, who was a senior world team member a couple years ago, and currently he just took second at the Greco World Team Trials. Just switched over from freestyle. Just great wrestler.
He is really good.
Yeah, and so we're driving back to Carbondale, and I'm like, dude, this was supposed to be the summer that like I actually got looks from college coaches. Like, not really sure what I'm going to do now. Get a call from, I can't remember if it was a call or a text message from Chris Williams, Michigan State coach. And he's like, oh man, I went over there to watch you, but you're getting walked off the mat already with your shoulder out. And he was like, well, just so you know, we are interested. One of the clubs that I used to train at, a thing called Quest Wrestling. So like once or twice a week, I drive 2 hours to the St. Louis area to wrestle with like the Branagos basically and some other people, and then drive the 2 hours home like twice a week just to get good competition. So that guy was a Michigan State alum who ran that club. So he told Chris Williams, the Michigan State coach, hey, watch this kid. So Chris is like, hey, we're interested. Pat put in a good word for you. Yeah, so you have that connection. So that was actually, I'm pretty sure that they were the first college coach I talked to, besides maybe the Tennessee Chattanooga coach. But yeah, so senior year, went on a run. I was kind of expecting that I have to make the decision early on because I was seeing everybody put out, oh, I committed here, I committed there posts. And then my coach was like, oh, like, it was basically like, you're not getting enough money to go anywhere. I think MSU at the time had offered me like 20% and I was out of state, so it was like this isn't even an option. Like I'm not really.
Right.
It's like I can't really
Yeah.
even consider this.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It was crazy, but what was funny too was I got here and I was on my visit, and my parents, whenever we go places, they would they would just let me let me go through the tours and like talking to the coaches on my own. They
Mhm.
show up for this meal or that meal, but they weren't like in every meeting with me because they were like, oh, like we're not like we want you to make this decision on your own, which I guess I appreciate it, but it was hard, as a kid.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I'm in the meeting with Roger where he's like, oh yeah, so like what are your goals? And I told him I was like, I want to be one of the best in the world. I want to be really good at freestyle and Greco in addition to folk style, but like long term I like to be one of the best in the world. And he was just like he was like, well, we wrestle folk style here, and then he just started writing down some stuff, and I was like, did I just blow it? But but yeah, offer 20, and I was like, okay, so I can't really do this. So
Right.
took my other visits. I was feeling rushed to make the decision, and my coach was like, I think you should bet on yourself. Let's go ahead and wrestle through the season and then see what they're able to come back with. See what all of the schools are able to come back with, which the other schools were like University of Illinois, and it was University of Illinois and Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. And then North Dakota State got added on at postseason. But wrestled through the season, went undefeated, had like 35 pins straight or whatever. There was like a bunch of stuff. It was a very easy year.
A good year. Yeah. So, a good year. Yeah.
So wrestled the one guy in the finals, who I had also wrestled in the freestyle and stuff finals a couple years before. And I think I beat him 3-2, super ducked him in the third period. And that was how I won. Maybe it was 3-1. I can't remember. But beat him. And now I'm getting a little bit more interest from different coaches, different schools. There was something else about this. Oh yeah, Cody Baldridge. So Cody Baldridge was the kid that I wrestled in the finals. I can't remember exactly where he went for. I think he might have gone to North Central or something.
Okay.
He was I can't remember if that's D3 or JUCO, but he was a national champ in college at whatever level he was at. But I think his title got stripped because I'm pretty sure that he was. I think he was juicing. Okay, I'm saying I think he was juicing. This kid was ripped. So yeah, he was muscled up. I think he might have been in high school too. He's a real cool kid,
probably.
Though. But yeah. He was a real cool kid. I think he might be a line worker now or something. But
still juicing or what?
I gotta imagine he's still juicing.
gotta be.
Yeah, gotta be. But yeah, so had maybe one or two more visits in the postseason, and ended up making my decision there in the postseason. Michigan State, they upped the amount, and then once I got my national letter of intent on the table, I looked at it and saw that they upped it again without even telling me, and I was like,
"Oh, nice!"
I was like, "This is a full ride." Which it was a full ride when I factored in honors college, because I was also in the MSU honors college, so a big part of it was, oh well, this kid, we know that he's doing the right things academically because he got into the honors college. So the honors college is already giving him, $15,000 a year or whatever that was. So we don't even have to make up as much. Like we can give him a full ride without even having to pay the actual full ride. So
nice.
I said my biggest regret on that front actually is not retaking the ACT, because if I got another 3 points, I would have had in-state tuition, and I don't know, I might have been getting a lot of that money back, but hindsight's 20/20.
Nice. Yeah. Well, that's impressive though, man. I mean, going Illinois, it's like they're one of the toughest states. I don't know where people would rank them. Obviously, Pennsylvania is probably number one, but Illinois is, especially in freestyle and Greco, they're really tough.
Yeah, I mean, I would say when I was going through was a really good time for a lot of that too. It was kind of a dynasty at the time. I think there were 6 or 7 years in there where Illinois won Fargo. Illinois won junior cadet nationals pretty consistently in freestyle and Greco. So I definitely went through it a pretty tough time. It was definitely a meat grinder.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense, man. I always remember the Illinois teams when I went out to junior duels that they were stacked for sure.
Yeah.
Now, did you do a lot of the off-season tournaments like you were talking about a little bit there? Did you do like Super 32? Did you do Fargo and did you do all that?
So I did Fargo. I did it my sophomore year and my senior year. So after I'd already committed, I did it again. I
Okay.
wasn't able to do it my freshman and junior year because of my elbow and then my shoulder. So
Okay.
I never did Super 32.
Okay.
I did preseason nationals my sophomore year maybe.
Okay.
But I didn't get to go to a lot of the national tournaments that I needed to go to, and I think it was mostly because I was hurt. I would get hurt in the off
Yep.
season, so I was like recovering, or
I
I'd
can
have
understand
surgery
that.
or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that definitely stopped me from getting some looks at some of those tournaments.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. I was the same type of way. Like my junior year, after I won flow, I was anticipating not playing football my senior year, and
Mhm.
then I went and blew my elbow out wrestling Tony at Michigan State. You gotta love it.
Dude, and the elbows are like the worst thing to hurt too. I feel
Yeah.
for myself, I know my elbow was my most painful injury. I don't know if that's the same for you.
In terms of like when it happened and then the recovery process, it did hurt the most. I had to have a nerve block for it and all that after surgery. Yeah.
Do you remember how you did it?
Yeah, so I was wrestling with Tony in the room, and we just finished like doing our normal, these positions freestyle, getting ready for Fargo, and we started going live, and it was like the second go, and he like arm drug me right into a gut, and I went to plan out, and I planted my elbow and got my hand caught and just snapped my elbow. Yeah, my
God
UCL.
damn.
Yeah,
I
it was
always
tough,
tell
dude.
the guys now for freestyle and Greco practices, I'm always telling them like, don't even try to defend a go with your arms out like this. Just go like this and just shift your hips instead. And I always tell them like, you will watch your arm wrap around the guy's head the wrong way if you put your
Mm-hmm.
arms out like this. I'm like, it's not even worth it.
It isn't, dude. It's like literally Chris was in there and he heard the snap. We were listening to music, right? And he still heard the snap. And yeah, it was horrible, man. I say the same thing now to our kids though. I'm like, dude, put your hands out, especially when we're drilling and you know you're gonna get gutted. Put your
Mhm.
hands in front of you. I do not want your hands out to the side.
Yeah, I think the rule is it's like you should always be able to see both of your hands. So I know I've said that a couple of times. It's like if your hands are right here, you can't see them. You should always be able to see both your hands. Like you can still defend
Absolutely.
well with, you know. Oh, that's
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, it was tough, man. And that year, I was ranked number 9 in the country at that point after winning flow, and then I was like,
Mhm.
I think realistically, I probably would have taken top 3 looking back if based on where I was at, how I felt, my size, everything.
Mhm.
But it should have would have cut at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
things happen.
yep. So let's dig into your college a little bit here. So you chose Michigan State. Was it really just
Mhm.
because of the offer, or what was the reason that you chose Michigan State?
Yeah, so money was definitely the deciding factor. I
Okay.
liked Michigan State from the start. Uh, the team was really bad.
Yeah.
And Roger made it clear to me, he was like, you can be a key in rebuilding the program. And so I was like, okay, I think it'd be really cool to have a hand in making a program better. Um, and like kind of coming in,
Absolutely.
like changing the culture. And from what I could tell, the young guys on the team were pretty hungry. They wanted to make a change for the positive. So I was like, this could be a good place to be. In addition to that, I thought the honors college was really cool. And they kind of told me about some of the alternative course options for people who are in the honors college. So
Okay.
I was like combining the honors college stuff with also a young team who I think has a lot of room to improve. This could be a pretty cool environment to be in, but the money wasn't lining up. until it was. So Michigan State actually really wasn't an option until the day that I signed to them. And I've been talking to Roger a lot for maybe that month and a half beforehand. Like, they gave me my space during the season, which a lot of college coaches don't. No. And I'm sure that you kind of dealt with that too. Yeah. Yep. You got people calling you every day and like, you're a kid, you're still doing homework, you're still dealing with high school stuff. It gets a lot when you got coaches calling you every day, but
for sure.
Roger and Chris called me after either towards the end of the season or after the season was up. They're like, "Oh, we know that you're dealing with a lot. We assume that you had a lot of coaches calling you. So we just wanted to give you your space for the last couple of months, but we have been watching. Like, we're still very interested, more interested now, actually." So
right.
I definitely appreciated that. And then also just talking to Roger over the span of a couple of weeks, just whenever I would drive up to the St. Louis area to get like better competition, I would talk to Raj on the way back from there. So we have, a 20, 30-minute call. And that was what ended up hooking me, was that, and combined with the offer increase where I realized like they're giving me more money than any of the other schools. Because a couple of the other schools would be like, we can take care of everything the first year, but after that, there's going to be a little bit out of pocket. Whereas, Roger he gambled. He gambled on me. So, So I appreciated that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome, man. That's great. Obviously, I'm a big Michigan State fan. Go Green, baby.
Go White.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. You don't what?
I don't remember if I was. I think you graduated, I think 4 years after me. So you graduated in 2020.
Yeah. So I graduated high school in 2020. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm like slightly remembering your visit, and I think I remember. Was that street called Linden? I feel like I remember you at the wrestling house, and I remember even thinking at the time, I was like, because they brought you out to one of the parties, and everybody's doing what people do at parties, and I was like,
yep.
I looked at you and I was like, I don't think that he wants to be at a party right now. I was like, you're kind of like sitting there like this, you're like looking around. I was like, I don't think this guy wants to be at a party. I don't think that this is how we're gonna get him. And sure enough, you ended up going somewhere else. But
oh, dude, that's actually hilarious. That's so true too. Like I remember sitting there, they were partying hard, and I sat down on one of those couches and I slumped, dude. I was so tired.
Yeah, those especially back in those days, those were the big Michigan State party days. They really don't do it like that anymore. From what I
that was
tell,
wild.
At least
that was wild.
That was the best house too. That was the best house for it too. Is what's crazy. But yeah, I remember I was just like, I don't think he's like a big partier. I don't think he wants to be in this kind of environment. Like, we should have him somewhere else. He should be like playing Monopoly with a couple of the more tame guys or something.
Playing Monopoly is crazy. I mean, but hey, you know what? I probably would enjoy that a little bit more. Now, I was never a party animal, man. Even when I went to college, like I just was one of those guys that when I was training, it was like, hey, I'm training. I'm trying to keep my body healthy. Alcohol doesn't help with that. All the factors, and it's like, I don't know. I just didn't really enjoy the party scene like that, especially if it went past like 11 o'clock, which was my bedtime.
No, that's completely understandable. I was mostly the same way. That year was mostly the only year where I was really going out and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, that's funny though. I like that you brought that up. That's awesome.
I remember.
Yeah, let's dig into your time at MSU here. So I'm actually going to read you back your MSU bio for each year that they had on here.
Okay, interesting.
So 2017, 2018, your redshirt year. 22-6 overall record. It was 22-6 at open tournaments. You're the outstanding redshirt award recipient. Recorded a team high of 22 open wins. Also good for second on the team in overall wins. One of 4 Spartans to win 20 matches, and you were tied for third on the team with 7 falls, tied for second with 3 technical falls, and tied for third with 3 major decisions. Won the 184 title in the freshman and sophomore division at the MSU Open, which was your first collegiate event. What else stood out from you from that year? I mean, that's a great redshirt year, obviously, but talk a little bit about that year.
Yeah, so a big part of my redshirt year was basically just whenever there was an opportunity to wrestle, I was wrestling. And that's something that we even struggle to have our redshirts do now is we can't get them out to tournaments. Like they don't want to.
It's crazy.
But yeah, it doesn't even make sense. Like I don't get it. It's like you have a free year where your matches don't really count towards your legacy, and you're not gonna go out there and get as many matches as you can. But whatever. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. But yeah, I was getting out to basically every match I could. Wrestled that first tournament, and it was mostly pretty easy. But hit the finals match, and it was against a guy who I had already had maybe one or two. I'd already had 2 losses against, and went on to lose to him maybe another 3 or 4 times. But that one time I beat him. And so that definitely stood out to me. That was great. Kid's name was Max Lyon from Purdue.
Okay.
He was I think he was a 4-timer, a 4-time qualifier. I don't think he ever placed, but
okay.
But yeah, so wrestled Max Lyon there, and that was a pretty good tournament. Back then they still had the Eastern Michigan Open before the program got nixed. I'm pretty sure that year the program got axed actually. Went out there and show up and warming up and stuff, and I think one of the coaches comes up and they're like, "You're registered in the Open division?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "You're supposed to register in like the Frost-Off division." And I was like, "I didn't know there was a Frost-Off division. I just assumed that, like, second tournament, we already got the Frost-Off stuff out the way. Like, we should be actually wrestling now." And I ended up doing well. I ended up doing okay. I took 4th. Lost to – I beat the guy who's ranked 15, I think, in the quarters.
Nice.
I lost to an All-American who was redshirting, a dude named Dakota Gear from Okie State. He might have been at Edinburgh at the time, but I think he finished at Okie State. Lost to Dakota Gear and some other kid who wasn't that good in the 3rd place match, but did all right. And I'd say what was even bigger than that was we had 3 other 84s who were also registered at the same weight, and none of them placed. So I would say that probably, that was probably a big deal to the coaches. And I mean, just even after that, just basically hit every tournament that I could. I don't know. I got a little harder to make 84 towards the end of the season once I started hanging out with the other freshmen more and eating the dining hall food. But yeah, freshman year was good, and finished it up by going out to Vegas for U20. U20. And I can't remember what was first between Greco and freestyle. I think Greco might have been first. And so Russell Greco took 2nd in Greco. There were some kind of shady things as far as reffing in that match, but I'll let it go. It was, it was 7-8 years ago. Took 2nd in Greco and took 6th in freestyle. And freestyle, I had a couple crazy matches. So my first match, I wrestled Michael Beard, who he ended up going in All-American for Penn State, and then I think Lehigh this year. And I think at the time he might have been a returning world team member, a returning junior cadet world team member. So I wrestled him. First round, I was down, I think 8-0 or 9-0, and ended up coming back, and I was beating him 15-12 or something like that in the second period when I ended up pinning him. So that was a good start to the tournament, which I didn't know who he was. But he was a 3 seed, and I had him off the bat. So wrestled on through there, hit the quarters, Lost to Nino Bonacorsi, who he ended up being a champ for Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Lost to Nino Bonacorsi in the quarters. Like, I think I lost him 15-13 or 16-14 or something like that. Basically, just letting him shoot in on my legs. Yeah, I don't know if I took a single shot that match. I was just letting him shoot in and then crotch lock it and see if I could throw. So, I lost him there. Beat Jackson Humauer in the blood round. And then I wrestled Michael Beard again because he won through the backside. Again, he was beating me 8-0, I think, and then I stepped over on a gut and pinned him.
Oh, man.
So was just so funny about that was he beat everybody. He didn't lose any other matches. The only guy he lost to in Vegas was Cameron Caffey, which is just so stupid.
That's awesome. I love it. Love to hear
it. And I think he acknowledged. He's just like, dang it. Like, he was like, yeah, he seemed like he took it in good spirits though. But nice. Yeah, so I had that tournament. Did pretty well out there. And I kind of decided at that point what I was going to do the next year for freestyle because I was talking to the other guys because I can't remember who it was I saw wrestle senior. Maybe it was Gable or something. But I was talking to the other guys on my team, and I was like, we're a little bit wimpy for wrestling U20 when senior's right there. And they're like, Caffey, what are you talking about? And I was like, I don't know. Like we can all be wrestling senior. Like, we are grown men. I was like 19. It was like, we're all grown men. Why are we not wrestling senior? And they're like, Caffey, I don't think we agree with you on this one. But I ended up wrestling senior the next year, even though I should have been U20. But so that was my redshirt year. It's a good year.
I love that mindset, though. I love that. It's like, hey, yeah. Man, you know what? I'm a 19-year-old grown man. I'm going to go out there wrestle senior. What do you mean?
Yeah, it's just young guy stuff. I didn't know what I was talking about. But ended up went and wrestled I think I wrestled the freestyle world team trials and the Greco world team trials. So freestyle was first. Didn't go well. Went 1-2. Beat Miles Wilson from Iowa. Lost to Jelani Embry from Michigan. Okay. And Owen Webster, who ended up going to Minnesota. So lost to both of them. My face was all messed up. I'm pretty sure I got concussed actually wrestling Jelani. We both shot at the same time and hit heads, and my body seized up and stuff. They had to stop the match for a second. And yeah, dude, I swear from that point on, I just started losing brain cells. Like, I used to be a bright kid. I was just never the same.
That's hilarious, man. I feel like I remember that match too. I feel like I do. I think I remember watching that.
That was another high scoring match from what I remember. But yeah, dude, that whole summer I just felt slow and I didn't put it together until years later. I was like, oh, I think I was concussed that whole summer, but I didn't, But so did that. Hit the Greco World Team Trials, made the finals for the best 2 out of 3, and I think I got teched both matches.
Okay.
So after that, I was like, I'm retiring from Greco. I don't even like it anymore. I'm just going to do freestyle from here on out. And then I think a couple weeks later, I was at home, and USA Wrestling called, and they're like, hey, we want you to represent the U.S. at the Junior Pan Am Championships. So I was like, oh, well, this will be a good way to end my Greco career, so I'll do that. So I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it, 87 kilos. And then they call again, and they're like, hey, would you also be willing to wrestle 92 kilos for freestyle? Because, it would save us a lot of money. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. That's what I really want to wrestle. So went down there. It was in a place called Fortaleza, Brazil. First time out of the country, so I had to go and get a passport and stuff, and that was nice. Yeah. And went down there to gold in both. And yeah, I mean, that basically capped off my redshirt year was taking gold in both of those and being like, all right, well, now it's time to hit the lineup and do some damage.
Yeah, that's a hell of an accomplishment, though, especially as a redshirt freshman. That's awesome, man.
It's a good year.
That's great. Yeah. Going into the next one, and so I have trimmed these down just so you know. Your bio is extensive on Michigan State's wrestling roster there, so I've trimmed these down a little bit. So 2018, 2019, redshirt freshman year, 32-9 overall, 13-5 in duels, 19-4 in open tournaments, won 7 bouts by fall, 1 by technical fall, and 5 by major decision. Was third on the team in scoring with 53 team points in duels. Placed first at the MSU Open, the Navy Classic, and the Reno Tournament of Champions. Opened the season with a 19-0 record. Wrestled back to 9th at the Big Ten Championships, an NCAA qualifier. You went 2-2 at NCAAs with 1 win over a ranked opponent, named a COSIDA Academic All-District First Team, named NWCA Scholar All-American, Academic All-Big Ten for the winter season as one of 22 Big Ten student athletes with a 4.0 GPA. Amazing redshirt freshman year too. Like what the academic part is crazy too. I mean, a 4.0 in college, and obviously we'll keep reading. But what do you think? Were you just always good at school? I have to talk about that before you go on the wrestling side.
Yeah, so my parents were really strict, like really, really strict. So even during the summer, they would give us math books and we'd have to complete a certain amount or else we like get in trouble. So
Really?
I spent so we have to do that. It was like we had these math and reading books, and then we'd also have to read and give like book summaries and stuff like that on like other books that we read.
That's crazy.
So yeah, and I mean they both like both of them like PhDs in different fields, so they were just trying to set us up for success or whatever. But
Makes sense.
But it was a lot.
Yeah, makes sense.
You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that because of them, academics were kind of always big, and then at some point, I think my dad sent the family group chat some article about how a lot of like middle class black children end up backsliding into poverty, and I was like, oh, dude, I was like, I was like, I can't be poor. so yeah, I was like, this is like my way to not be poor. I need to do well in school so that I have opportunities. So yeah,
nice. Yeah, awesome. So that's great on that. So great, like I said, awesome. 32-9 overall. What else? NCAA qualifier, 2-2 at NCAAs. What stood out from you, and do you remember those matches there, NCAAs, from your redshirt freshman year?
Yeah, I remember all of them. The first one was against kid from Mizzou, Dylan Weisman. It was a good match, but I also got a little bit lucky. So I think it was in the third period, late second period, early third period. And I started on bottom, and bottom man set, top man cover, and he jumped the gun. And they're like, caution, bottom man set, top man cover. He jumps the gun again, and it was like, is this guy really about to give me a free point like this? And so we do it again, bottom man set, top man cover, and he jumps the third time in a row. And it was like, it's not that, like, I don't move that fast off bottom. You don't need to be this ready for me. So he jumps the gun again. I get a free point. And then I think it might have been tied up or something. So he just let me up, and it was like, what are you doing? So I think I won that match like 4-3 or 3-2 or something like that. Such just match management, just funny looking back.
Right.
Then I had the 3 seed, a dude named Zach Savatsky. I think I actually started off. I think I might have scored the first points. I think I super ducked him, and super ducked him, scored those first points. Defense just wasn't good the rest of the match. Basically, ended up losing 9-8. On the backside, can't remember the name of. It was a kid from, I think, Virginia. I think his name was Will Shaney. Wrestled him, beat him maybe 7-3 or something. Then I had a Binghamton kid, Lou Dupre, in the round of 16. And my biggest regret, so I opened that match up by I went for a super duck. He caught it, and then I went straight to a lat drop. So I scored the first points in that match too. Third period, my coaches told me to go neutral, and I was like, why wouldn't I just go down? And they're like, okay. And I went down, got rode out the whole third period, went into overtime, and then lost by a takedown in overtime. So
that's tough. Yeah,
I didn't know he was like that on top.
Yeah, I remember him, and that when you said that, that's the first thing I thought of too.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, I didn't know he was like that on top. There was also some other stupid stuff in that match. Like when I was on top, he stood up and he wrapped my legs in like this, and I was trying to push him away, and they started hitting me for stalling, and I couldn't get away from him because he had my legs wrapped up, and I was like, "What do you want me to do? Like, I cannot let him go."
Right.
But yeah, tough tournament. I remember one of the things I was angriest about after that tournament was they interviewed Max Dean, and he beat Miles Martin and made the finals, and they were like, "Oh yeah, so how do you feel to be the only guy to legitimately take Miles Martin down this year? Because the other one was a fluke. The other one was me super ducking Miles Martin." And I was like, "Dude, that wasn't a fluke. Like I practice this all the time. Like this is one of my main moves. Like it's not a fluke." But I don't know. I'll need to see if I can find that interview because that definitely pissed me off. But but yeah, so yeah, it was a good redshirt freshman year, I guess. Good introduction to the fans of the program, supporters of the program.
Yeah, dude, I remember that the Miles Martin match too. I was watching that. I was on like a Friday or something on Big Ten Network, and I remember watching that match and literally seeing you super duck right off the rip. And that was, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think Eddie takedown is necessarily like a fluke, if I'm being honest, right? So,
yeah, it was. That was a tough one too. So, I started off the season 19-18, 19-0, wrestling some kid who I should have beat, and I ended up getting pinned, and I was like, this sucks. Then I had the number 2 guy after New Year's, lost to him in overtime. And I was like, okay, well, if I did that well against the number 2 guy, I should be all right against the number 1 guy. Ended up getting teched by Miles Martin, which every time that anybody posts that super duck clip, all these Buckeye fans just come out the woodwork and they're like, Cam Caffey sucks. And they're like 21-6. And they're like, every dog has his day. He's not that good. And I'm like, dude, I don't think it's that serious. Like, we all know Miles Martin is better than I am. Like, I don't think you guys need to remind anybody. Like, one of us is a champ and 4-time All-American, and the other one's not.
Yeah. I mean, you can't deny it, but the fact that people sit behind their keyboards all the time, man, and just type like that is so crazy to me.
Yeah, no, I don't get it. The comment sections are always so interesting to watch, and I was always a really big guy who I was like chronically online. Like I would read every comment. Okay. I read every comment on Instagram. I read every comment on YouTube videos. I read every comment on there's a bunch of wrestling forums. Different teams have their own specific wrestling forums. I read all the teams' forums, and I'd also read like the National Wrestling Forum. I was like deep in there, like I was plugged in. So yeah, it was always interesting seeing the things that people were okay saying.
Did you have a craziest moment that from what you saw in the comment section of anything? Did you have anything that you would want to share?
There's been some crazy stuff. There was one time there was a guy who we were recruiting, and his dad was like trash talking me in the comments of some Facebook post, and I was like, it's like we're looking at your kid right now. Like, why are you saying this stuff about a guy who's about to be one of his teammates? Like, that doesn't really check out. That's kind of weird.
That's wild. Yeah, that's what. Did he end up committing there?
No. So our coach at the time, when he ended up going to Campbell, and that kid ended up going to Campbell instead of MSU.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's a wild thing to do when your son's getting recruited. It's just throw shade at one of the teammates that he could possibly have.
Yeah, it His name was either Drew Hazelton or Brandon Hazelton. I don't know. He was another Illinois kid too. Like I've been seeing these kids' names the whole time I was growing up, and I was like, why is this guy trash talking me? Like this doesn't even make sense. I can't remember if I said something to my coach about it or not. But if I did, I was probably like, we don't need this kid. Yeah. I don't know.
Right? Exactly. No, we don't want him. We don't want him. He's drama.
Yeah, there's been a lot of other like crazy comments though. Like there's some. Yeah, there's been some really crazy comments. There was one guy who was like, he was like, "Oh, I'm so when I lost to Aaron Brooks, which this is the next year, but I lost to Aaron Brooks, and somebody was like, oh, dude, I'm so happy Caffey lost. He just walks out there and acts like he's gonna win every time." And I was like, am I not supposed to look confident when I go out there? Like am I supposed to like walk out there and like look like I'm scared or something? Like I don't really get it. Oh, he just looks so confident out there. I don't understand what I did wrong. And then another guy was like,
I was just gonna say the last time I checked it, you need confidence and swagger to be a good wrestler, but okay.
Right. And then like another guy was like, I'm glad the better looking wrestler won. I was like, okay, I can't even do anything about that. Like, what do you? I was like, I this isn't even on me.
Dude, I can't even look at those comment sections anymore, man. I've seen so much wild stuff, and especially if it was about me, I'm like, I can't watch that, dude.
Yeah, there's some of them too where if they cross over into other communities, you can get some real wild comments. Like I've had some stuff get shared in certain communities where people are very about men in tight clothes. So those were the craziest comments. I'm not even going to go through some of those comments, but those were by far the craziest comments I've seen. Some of the most depraved stuff I've seen. Yeah.
Oh man, that's something. Yeah, so we'll leave that at that. We'll leave the comment section at that one. Oh man. All right, so let's move on to that next year then. Your redshirt sophomore year. Pretty great year as well. You were 27-7 overall, 16-2 in duels, a 9-4 open tournament record, 2020 NCAA qualifier, 2020 Big Ten finalist at 184 pounds, which you kind of talked about that already, who you wrestled. NWCA All-American, Scholar All-American, Student Athlete Support Services Scholar Athlete Award winner for the highest grade point average on the team. 2020 Winter Academic All Big Ten Selection awarded Outstanding Wrestler of the Year. Collins Mickles Leadership Award and Most Falls Award at the end of the year. Team banquet, and you led the team with 9 falls, 3 wins by technical falls, 4 wins by major decision, and led the team with 67 dual points there. Ranked as high as number 7 by Flow Wrestling at 184 pounds that year, and earned the number 2 seed at the Big Ten Championship. Reached the finals, fell to Aaron Brooks there in a very close match, 3-2. And then what did that year mean to you? And I mean, that's an extensive one. That one's the longer one.
Yeah. Yeah. So by the time it was all said and done, that ended up being my best year, at least in my opinion. So started off pretty rocky. There was a lot of personal stuff going on that first half of the year. I was partying a lot more because I was like, dude, I already missed 2 years of really getting out there. So I was kind of going out a lot more. And then my mom ended up getting in a car crash. So that was kind of a big thing that I was kind of paying attention to. Okay. My classes ramped up. Classes got way harder. And like I wasn't understanding the materials in my classes. So I was really paying attention to that. Started talking to girls more. So that was obviously like, that took a lot of my attention.
Right.
That was the year that you visited.
Okay.
But yeah, so that year started off really rocky. And I had some pretty bad losses that first half of the year. Went into the second half, and my first match that I had, I lost to a Rutgers kid named Billy Janzer. And so I lost to that kid, and I'd already beat him earlier this season. but ended up losing to him at Jenison, which is like our home building for anybody who doesn't know. So lost to him at home, and I was like, dude, this is basically from that point on. I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm already doing really badly this season, which for me, doing really badly, I might have been like 15-4, 15-5, or something like that. But I was like, dude, this season's already a wash. And I was just like, I'm just gonna wild out. I was like, I'm just gonna whatever happens, happens. I'm gonna let it fly, because this season's basically already over for me. And I was like, and it doesn't really matter. I didn't really care what I was seated at Big Tens because I was like, it doesn't matter what I'm seated. I'll still get a spot. Like I'm gonna either steal a spot or they're gonna give me one. So
Right.
So let's just leave it all on the mat. So I started training a lot harder. I was doing one-on-ones. So instead of going to normal team practice, because of the way my classes were set up, I would have a one-on-one practice with our heavyweight coach. So I have a one-on-one practice with our heavyweight coach and with Tony. So
Okay.
doing my practices with Win and Tony, and what was nice about that was that we were working on the specific things that I was doing wrong. So it's like, okay, you need to improve your hand fight. This next guy's gonna have a really good hand fight. So we're working on just hand fighting and setting up shots. Oh, you look like you're tired this day. We don't even want you to practice. Just go hit the ice tub, hit the warm tubs, like do all that kind of stuff. Do recovery today.
Nice.
And so that was what made the second half of the season really successful. So I lost to Billy Janzer. My next match, I had Owen Webster, who I wrestled earlier in the freestyle competition, but wrestled Owen Webster, and I ended up beating him pretty well. I think I beat him like 12-5 or something like that.
Okay.
Beat him up, so that kind of started my streak, and then I went on a streak where I ended up winning, I think, my next 12 matches after that too.
Okay.
Beat Taylor Vins, who is a All-American. I think he took fourth his redshirt freshman year. So beat Taylor Vins, beat Abe Assad, who is like Iowa's guy who they had pulled his redshirt, which they really shouldn't have pulled his redshirt. They had a really good guy at the weight already, but
Right.
I digress. So beat him. Basically, I beat everybody. I beat a lot of people. Ended up making the Big Ten finals, and yeah, lost to Aaron Brooks. But yeah, I guess just changing to the one-on-one practices was probably the biggest part of what made that season successful. That second half was just like getting to specifically work on things that I was doing wrong and that I needed to work on, instead of having it be a thing where it's like, oh, like the whole team, let's do this. The whole team doesn't need to work on the same thing. Like the whole team is not having the same issues. So it doesn't make sense for everybody to be doing a one-size-fits-all practice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree. I agree on that 100%. Obviously, you know my story. I kind of committed to ODU. They dropped their program, ended up going to Lock Haven for a little bit. I had injury problems, so and all that. But do you feel like Michigan State set up everything in terms of like your recovery one-on-one? Do you think that the structure was great there, and did they have like options for assistance in terms of like counselors or anything like that?
So the options were there, but MSU didn't like set that stuff up for you. It was really self-motivated. So it's like the options are there, but you have to make the decision that, oh, like I need to do this for recovery. Oh, I should be doing that. Which a lot of guys end up not doing that kind of stuff because it's like they have the freedom to choose, and I feel like the majority of people aren't going to necessarily choose what's best for them. So, but the options were there. You know, they have people you can talk to for any mental health stuff. They have a lot of stuff you can do for physical health stuff, but it's got to be on you. Like you got to, oh man, like, you know, my legs are sore. I need to hit the ice tub. Like that's got to be something you decide to do.
Yeah. Is that something? So your class schedule was the big reason for you then why you had the individuals, and then they kind of worked with that. Did they kind of allow that for some other people too, or was that just strictly, is it based off a class schedule?
It was strictly based off class schedule. It was just kind of like a happy coincidence, which I tried scheduling like that a couple other times too, just because I was like, dude, like this is what was working. Like, would you rather have everybody do badly or me like do really well at the very least have me do very well?
Right.
And I talked about trying to have everybody do one-on-ones or have everybody do one-on-one practices or like their own personalized practices because that just makes sense to me. But it never really caught on, sadly. So
Yeah. It's a hard thing to do as a coach, though. I'm sure is like you have so many guys and you want to run a team practice, but I completely understand what you're saying, man. Everybody should be able to at least get in, a couple, 1, 2 times a week to strictly focus on the areas that they need to improve on, right?
yeah. I mean, it just makes sense at this level. It's the little things that matter, and it's like everybody has different little things that they need to work on. So
For sure. So anything else? So obviously your retro sophomore was amazing there. Aaron Brooks was a 4-time national champ and 3-2. I remember watching that match as well. It was really, really good match. Anything else that you want to touch on from that year?
Man, that would have been an interesting tournament. And what was special about that year too, it was like sometime in January or February, he got put out because he tested positive for whatever he tested positive for. So he
Little
was
PED.
the clear number one. I don't think it was PEDs. I think it was recreational stuff. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
But he ends up getting put out for whatever he was doing, and it like truly became completely wide open. Like anybody could win or lose in any given week. It was just complete chaos, which was, I'm sure, amazing for the fans. Like just random people losing. This guy is one of the best guys. All of a sudden, he just gets blown out. Like it was just, it was a great time. It was honestly the best of times. I really do think that whole 2019 into 2020 stretch was great, leading up to COVID.
Yeah. So obviously a great year there. The 2020-2021 season, that's your redshirt junior year. That's obviously when COVID came about. You had an 11-6 overall record, 5-2 in duels there, named a Scholar All-American for the third time in your career, earned Big Ten Distinguished Scholar honors, one of 3 wrestlers with a 4.0 GPA that year, collected academic All-Big Ten accolades for the third time, recipient of the MSU Student Athlete Support Services Scholar Athlete Award for having the highest cumulative grade point average on the team for the second time in your career, earned highest honors of MSU Athletics Honor Roll, and then on the mat, you earned MSU's Co-Outstanding Wrestler Award of 2021, sharing that with Rayvon Foley that year, registering a team leading 11 wins, ranked in the top 10 for majority of the season. Finishing with that 11-6 record, 5 of your losses coming to opponents ranked in the top 5. Entered the Big Ten championship as the number 4 seed and earned the number 10 seed at the NCAA championship that year, becoming a 3-time national qualifier. Talk more about that year. Obviously, less matches because of COVID, and then just kind of dig into that year a little bit more.
Yeah, despite the low match count for that year, a lot went on that year. So coming on the heels of COVID, I guess not even the heels of COVID because people were still wearing masks going into the next year. But the whole time, nobody's even sure if a season's going to happen.
Right.
Basically, the whole campus is locked down. There's not really students here. Things are just kind of weird all around. It's a very weird time to be a college student, and certainly a weird time to be a college athlete.
For sure.
Like we have stuff going on, like people sitting on the benches are wearing masks, but then you take off your mask and you go wrestle, and they're like, "Oh, you guys can't shake hands at the beginning of the match because we don't want to spread COVID." Does this make sense to us? Like
we're about to just scrap, but okay.
Well, and what really got me about it was just like I hate seeing performative stuff, and it's like this is purely performative. Like what we can't shake hands, but like what are we doing? Like, are we gonna actually do stuff that's gonna like make people safer? Or are we gonna do stuff like not let people shake hands before they try throwing each other and before they start wrestling? Like this doesn't make sense at all.
No, not at all.
But yeah, I mean, And because we didn't know even if there was going to be a season, and even while we were wrestling, we didn't know how it was going to go. We'd already just had a season where we qualify 8 guys for NCAAs, and then all of a sudden it just wasn't even a thing anymore. Right. So I'd say that kind of weighed pretty heavily on the guys. So guys were getting into a lot of stuff that they shouldn't be getting into during the season, which just kind of completely distracted our team from the goal of being the best team we could be. But that did end up being my best NCAA run. I was a blood rounder. Sadly, had 5-time All-American Jacob Warner in the blood round.
Yep.
So, oh no, he might have been 4-time because he was 2022 and he didn't get a chance to do that one. So, 4-time All-American Jacob Warner. But regardless, very good wrestler.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I mean that such a weird year. And even on the actually I think that was the last so that year I wrestled Miles Amin at home. And that was the last time that I ended up losing a dual meet match at Jenison. Was that year. I think over my 5 years starting, I think I lost 5 or 6 dual meet matches at home. Home matches were great for me traditionally.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so awesome. Yeah, definitely the worst season, but it's also because the only part of the season that we had was the Big Ten stretch. So
right.
But yeah, I think a week after NCAA's, I cut another 10, 11 pounds to wrestle 86 kilos and 87 kilos at the Olympic trial qualifier. Ended up coming empty in both freestyle and Greco. So that actually sucked big time. That was actually terrible.
Right.
Especially for I think I wrestled Greco first, 87 kilos. Lost to Andrew Berryesa. He's just really good Greco wrestler. And I think I realized I was in trouble during that match because I hadn't really gotten to wrestle Greco. It was only a week between NCAAs and that tournament.
Okay.
And during that week, I had a little bit of herpes or a cold sore pop up on my lips, so I couldn't even be on the mat. So I was wrestling him, and I was doing something, and I was I just thought to myself, I was like, dang, I really wish I could just hit a single leg right now. And that was the first time I've ever thought that in a Greco match. And first thing I thought that I was oh yeah, I was I don't think this is about to go well for me. So
right.
Lost to Berryesa, got a couple wins on the backside, and then lost to another kid, Minnesota Storm kid. I think he actually 5'd me too. That was a terrible match. He 5'd me, gutted me a couple times. I almost got my elbow caught on the side there. Yeah, he beat me, and then he got up and celebrated like he just beat a national champ or something. And I was like, okay, I'm not that good. I'm good, but I'm not that good. Which I guess a couple months before I had won U23s for Greco. And then the year before I was on the junior world team for Greco. I completely forgot. Time passes and you forget stuff like that.
Yeah, that was a junior Greco world team member back in, that would have been 2019, right?
2019. Yep. And so this was early 2020. So I had some Greco accolades in there that I guess made it a big deal for him. So I guess I'm happy that you felt good about that. And then freestyle just also went terribly. I was just so sucked down. I had to lose another 2.2 pounds between the freestyle day and the Greco day, or between the Greco day and the freestyle day.
Yeah.
So I cut more weight. That morning I ran 2 miles cutting weight. I was just completely just no energy and just basically just wrestled terribly. So yeah, had that. A month later, had the US Open where I bumped back up another 10, 11 pounds, another 13 pounds, and I went 92 kilos for freestyle. I think I lost my first match to Scotty Boykin. wrestled through the
Okay.
backside, and then I had my coach in the 5th place match. And
What?
my coach was my coach, and he'd been coaching me that whole season, so he kind of knew what I was about. So that didn't go well for me.
Was that which coach was that? Was that Win?
Willie Meekless.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so wrestled Willie there. He beat me up in the 5th place match, and they only took top 5 to World Team Trials. So
Oh man.
beat me in the 5th place match, and then he decided he wasn't even going to wrestle the World Team Trials.
That's messed up, man. What?
It's just terrible.
That's really effed up.
That's my guy, though.
So, why would they not? So, if he decided not to wrestle, did they not ask you to come to the World Team Trials?
No backfill. It's just
That's
over.
messed up. Messed up, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, that year overall, man, that was a heck of a year. That was that would have been my year going into it. And I remember we could only wrestle with one person, and we had to wear that like the sleeve thing, like whatever you
The
call
gator?
it, the sun thing. Yep. And
Yeah.
we were wearing that, and we had to wrestle with it on. Which every time you took any sort of shot or hand fought at all, it's falling off. I'm like, dude, we're gonna get worse things than this wrestling each other. You know what I mean?
I mean, you're effectively waterboarding yourself by wearing that thing while you're waterboarding yourself. That's what you're doing. We didn't have to do that, thankfully. And I saw that some other teams did have to wear those while wrestling.
Yeah.
If that was a thing, I just don't know if that season would have really happened for me. Because that's wild.
Yeah.
And like I got COVID late 2020, and so like my gas tank was already just wrecked. Like I still don't feel like I've completely recovered from that. I've just never had the same cardio as I did before.
Yeah. I'm sure that probably had an effect on that. I mean, that's like one of the main things that it's done, right? Is make you pretty much feel like you can't move. So
yeah.
Yeah. But that was wild. I remember our AD came in, and he's like watching us to make sure that we had our masks on when we were wrestling. And I'm like, dude, I am not gonna I got taken down, and I kept pulling it up. I'm like, dude, what's he gonna do? Come on the mat and tell me to pull my dang thing up? Seriously.
And see, that's another one of those things where it's like you're wrestling somebody, like this is performative. Why do we have these on? Like this is so much worse than just like not having, like, if somebody's sick, they're still gonna get other people sick. Like this
exactly. It's gonna happen one way or the other, right? So
yeah.
But yeah, so
stupid time.
It really was, man. It really was. Yeah. So 2021 comes about. This is your redshirt senior year now. 29-9 overall, 14-0 in duels, which you kind of talked about. That was the last time you were going to lose at the field house, right? So Navy Classic runner-up, had major decision victories in his first 4 duels. 3rd place at the Southern Scuffle there. Took down 2 top 10 foes in one weekend with a major over number 12, Greg Bolsack, and then decision over number 2, Max Dean at the time when he was at Penn State there. Big Ten Wrestler of the Week on 126 after Bolsack and the Dean win. Placed 6th at Big Ten Championships as the number 3 seed after reaching the semifinal round there. If I do remember, that was against Miles Amin. And then
Amin was
on. That was what?
Amin was the weight below. I wrestled Dean in the semis. I just
Yep. That was right. Okay. Which is actually, that's coming about here. 12-match win streak before Big Ten semifinals versus Max Dean. There you go. Seeded number 9 and went 2-2 at the NCAA championships that year, improving to 7-6 overall all time at the event there at the NCAAs. What did that year mean to you? And then is that also the year you were the U.S. Open champion at 92 kilos as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And so that's another year that started off pretty rocky, started off bad. And I hadn't, the worst part about that was like I hadn't even been like going out and really partying or anything, because early in that preseason, I went to one of the local bars and I was there. And one of the old MSU basketball players, was back in town for a little bit or whatever. And he comes in and there's this whole posse with him. And I'm looking around, I see everybody talking to him and looking at him and saying all this other kind of, oh, this guy's yada yada. And I don't know what it was about it, but it just disgusted me. I was like, bruh. I was like, this guy, everybody's all hanging all over this guy. I was like, what is this? I was like, I'm not coming back here until I'm a national champ. And I left. And
I love
dude,
it.
I'm just a hater. And so, and my thing about this guy specifically was that he was also the first basketball player that I saw on campus when I was here as a freshman. And it was the same thing, just people following him, girls following him and stuff like that. And I was like, dude, so I was just like, I felt like I was young me again. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I need to do better. And so I got out of there and I was like, yeah, next time that's going to be me. It wasn't. But
I love it.
But didn't drink that, didn't drink basically to the end of that season. And still started off bad though. And I think what it was I was trying to bulk up into 197 so I could be like a full 197.
Mm-hmm.
But like that doesn't really work with my style of wrestling. Like I'm a much more slick, much more finesse, and bulking up always like kind of wears on me. So I bulked up and I thought I was feeling good, but didn't do too well at the first tournament. I think it went 3-2. Lost to Jake Woodley, who I'd also lost to at the NCAA tournament the year before. And then lost to Matt Wroblewski, who that actually ended up doing me in that season because that was the reason that I wasn't seeded first or second at Big Tens, was because I lost to him and he was the 14 seed at Big Tens. 14 seed out of 14 teams.
That's tough.
So just horrible match. So I lost to Wroblewski. Don't even know how. And just a horrible start to the season. Went to the next tournament, Navy Classic, was doing pretty well. Ended up losing to some Navy kid in the finals of the Navy Classic. Which, just to add insult to injury, I just found out that they have a big picture of that, like in the wrestling room.
What?
Like a big picture of that kid beating me, and it's like,
man, that's tragic, man.
Yeah, like literally just found this out a couple of days ago. Somebody I know, one of the Brandagles, was over there and sent me a picture of that, and I was like, dude, you just ruined my whole day.
You're like, dude, you could have just left that there. I don't need to know that.
Yeah, ruined my whole day.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, had a really bad start to that season. Cardio just wasn't really where it needed to be just because I put on so much muscle. And, so transitioning into the new year, had the Southern Scuffle, didn't do too well. That was where Michael Beer beat me the first time the first and only time. He beat me, I think 5-3 or 5-2 or something like that in the semis. And apart from him, I had a pretty good tournament though. And I don't
those are the wins I that's the one, the Southern Scuffle. That's where where did you beat Bullsack and Dean at?
I beat them in duels like 3 weeks later.
Okay, gotcha.
You know who I did beat at the Southern Scuffle was Tanner Sloan, who he ended up being. I think he was the runner-up the next year and then maybe took fourth his last year or something, but did that tournament. I don't necessarily know if there was anything that I started doing differently after the Scuffle, but I kind of always have this thing going into the last half of the season where I'm just kind of like, and I always tell the guys this too, I'm like, you could just win out from this point on and you would still be the guy.
Yeah.
Even if a guy's had a terrible Big Ten season, once they're at Big Tens, I'm like, you could win out from here on out and you would still be the champ. Nobody would care about the rest of your season,
Yeah.
And so I kind of always go into the postseason with that mindset. And so, went to the postseason, had some good dubs, wrestled Bullsack. I was actually feeling terrible during that match. I was like, I just felt lethargic. It was in the third period, and it had already been a pretty tough match, and I was like, I need to kind of make something happen here because I haven't really gotten close to getting a takedown. And I go for some junkyard stuff. Like I shooting on a shot, and I was like trying to get a behind the headlock, like behind my back headlock. You reach back like this and get a headlock.
Yeah.
Stupid stuff. And so I went for that, and he started going around behind, and because he went around behind, I like slipped it into a Merkle.
Okay.
Made him touch a hand to the mat, got 2, and then I took him to his back for a 4 count, let him up, took him to his back for another 4 count. So all of a sudden it went from me being down like 3-2 or 3-1, I think 3-2, to me being up like 11-2 or 11-3 or 12-3 or something. So it was like just like that, like I was in major territory. I think 12-3, yeah. Beating him, and he went on to All-American that year. He was good. He had, you know. And then I had Dean the Sunday because that was Friday. So I had Dean on Sunday. Tough match. What was funny about that was that Lowell, because Dean is from Michigan. He's from Lowell.
Yep.
So all the Lowell kids were there cheering on Max Dean. And
you just sit there cheering in the stands as this is going on.
Yeah, you know, and the only reason I even know that because I don't notice that kind of stuff while I'm out there. But they were telling me, people were telling me later, it's like, oh yeah, the whole Lowell team was there and stuff, and so they're there cheering on Max Dean, and that was just a tough match. I always hate wrestling Max Dean. He's a tough guy to wrestle, and I don't hate wrestling him because he's tough. I hate wrestling him because of how he wrestles. He's like, like he doesn't make mistakes. Really, he's one of those guys who's just like right here. He's like hand fighting hard, and I've never really been a guy who deals with hand fighting very well. Yeah, right here, hand fighting hard, and just like everything's buckled down. He gets a chance on top, and he just like you can't really get out. It's like whatever he does with his legs, he does like a figure 4, I think, around one of the legs, and you can't really get him off.
Right,
and it sucks too because like the ref will like start hitting you for stalling or whatever, and it's like I can't do anything. Like I'm trying to stand
I can't
up.
move, dude.
I'd rather not. I give him a point just for me to escape. Like they need to arrange that. But the guy on bottom can be like, hey, like I'll give him a point if you just let me get back on my feet.
That's crazy work, but I actually am all for that. Yeah.
Yeah, just because like nobody wants to watch mat wrestling the whole match. Like that's not fun for anybody.
Exactly.
But yeah, so beat Dean, which at the time I didn't know this, but beat Dean for the only time. I'm like 1-5 or 1-6 against Max Dean. It's not really a rivalry. He mostly just beats my ass. But so beat him that one time and had a pretty good season. Went into Big Tens as the 3 seed, which if I hadn't lost to Rabluski at the beginning of the season, completely different Cam Caffey. Hadn't lost to Rabluski at the beginning of the season, I would have either been the 1 seed or the 2 seed.
Okay.
There's something else that happened that year. Oh yeah. So there are a lot of parallels between this year and the year that I made the Big Ten finals. Like I think that streak towards the end in that second half of the season, the first time it was Zahid who got put out for whatever he did. This time it was Ferrari who got put out because he got in a car crash and he had like fluid in his lungs or something. Something crazy. But he got put out that season. So like, and then I had the streak leading up to it, but then I was seated 3rd at Big Tens instead of 2nd, but started off the tournament well. Russell Rabluski first round. I think I beat him 15-2 or something like that. Wrestled a kid from Purdue named Panola. He was another guy who I didn't like wrestling because he was just ham fighting. I think I beat him 3-2 or something. Had Dean in the semis, and that was just an awful match. That just went really, really badly. I basically just hit the semi slide from there down. Lost to Dean there, pretty handily. Lost to Warner on the backside. Lost to one of the kids I beat earlier, Panola. Lost to Panola in the 5th place match. Again, going for that thing behind my back. And when I try hitting him, I actually did something bad to one of my ribs. So like couldn't even like yeah, it was hard breathing there for a week and a half or so, but
Yeah.
messed up my rib, ended up taking 6, ended up just basically just being a terrible tournament. Um, and it was like it ended up kind of messing up my seed going into nationals
Uh-huh.
because Panola. What sucked about Panola was I wrestled him 3 times that year. The first time I majored him, the second time I beat him by a little bit, the third time I barely lost to him by a little bit. And they're like, that means that Panola is clearly better than Caffey. So like, being
Sure.
seated, right? He ended up
Yeah.
being seated like 9 or something, and I ended up being like 11 or 12. And it was like, okay, like can we cut the cap
Fix the
here? Like,
seating. Yeah.
but went out. So that year was in Detroit. I ended up having to get like a shot in my ribs the week before because of me trying that stupid stuff against Panola. Uh, but I still couldn't really wrestle too much leading up to the tournament. Went 2-2 at the national tournament. Just very sad tournament. Awful, awful into what could have been a great year. Pretty heartbreaking. Um, yeah, so I mean, the next month and a half or so, leading up to the U.S. Open, I feel like I wasn't even lifting or anything. I was mostly just wrestling, and I would just like stay up. I was staying up every night. I was staying up all night. So I was supposed to graduate that year. So
Okay.
I was kind of struggling through some classes. There was a lot of stuff that I just kind of neglected while the season was going on because it was going really well at first. So I was like, oh, I'm going to be national champion. I don't really care about my grades.
Right.
And then that didn't go well. So I was like, well, now I have to actually start going to class again. So I had to kind of pick up the pieces of stuff that was like going south. And I was staying up every night, uh, like watching the charts for crypto pump and dumps. And so I was doing that for like a while where I was like staying up to like 4 or 5 a.m. every night. Just
That's
like,
wild.
dude, just depressed. I like the only time that we would leave the house was like I would go get some pizza and bring it back, and like me and my roommate would eat some pizza, and then we just both go to our rooms and shut the door, and I'd be when they're like looking at the crypto charts and the discords and stuff. Which I mean, it worked out. I think I made like a lot of money. I think I might have
That's
started out because
fair.
earlier that season, I think I dropped from around 98K down to like 40 something in one day. So
Okay.
to late 2021, we're at some duel and, I wrestle this guy or whatever, go back to the hotel. At this hotel, I had a room to myself, which was nice. And so I'm looking at the crypto charts and I open my phone, I look, and I see that everything just crashed. The bottom just completely fell out of everything. And I look and I
Jeez.
said, I'd lost like 30, 40,000. I just turned off my phone, just went to sleep. I was
But
like,
dude, I can't even look at this.
it's like, this is just the worst day ever. And so I go and I get in all these crypto pump and dumps and I make my money back actually. Like I'm doing well.
Okay.
But I drink the Kool-Aid and I stay in too long. So I worked my 40, I think I was sitting on like 43, 44 when I started. I worked that up to, I want to say like 90, 91. And then I
Okay.
lost it all. I lost it all the way down to like 19K.
Oh no.
Just so bad. And so I was like, dude, I was like, and at the time I like regarded Max Dean as like my biggest op. So I was like, dude, I was like, he's a champ. He probably has more money than me. I was like, dude, I was like, what am I doing? And just funny looking back. But
That is
but
hilarious.
but yeah, so I ended up doing pretty well at the US Open. I think I might have been seated second and get into the finals and had a really exciting match with Isaac Trumbull, who he ended up going on to continue having a much better career than me. But I beat him there, and yeah, had a good time. But Didn't do too well at the World Team Trials a couple weeks later. Took fourth. And I think Trumbull took second. Aiello took third. Nate Jackson took first. And I think whoever ended up winning had to go and wrestle Jaden Cox. So it was just, meat grinders. And you see Aiello right now, he just took second at the World Team Trials. Trumbull.
He did well. I feel like he did well, but I don't know. I can't remember. I was just looking at all this actually last night. So
do you know what was is he at 97 kilos or is he at 130, 125?
I think Trumbull was bigger. I think he was at 125. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean he's they both ended up doing pretty well, but yeah. So that World Team Trials didn't go too well for me, and then I just had that whole summer. I was like, I only have 1 year left to try and be an All-American national champ. I'm broke. I wasn't broke. I just I felt like I was broke though.
Right.
And so my brother comes up and stays with me every summer. And every day I walk into the room and wake him up like, dude, how are we going to get this money today? And yeah, so.
I love it, dude. So that's a great year though. I mean, obviously not how you wanted to finish it. But going into 2022, 2023 year. So that's technically your graduate year, right?
Yep.
Okay, so graduate year there. It was actually hard to find stats on this on MSU's site. They didn't have anything from your graduate year that when I was looking at it. So
good.
Good. But I found some stuff. I did my research on it. So you were 17-7 overall. Made your 5th debut at the NCAA tournament. What made you decide? So that was your 6th year overall, where you were a graduate year. So you decided, hey, I have one more year in me. Based on because you had the COVID year too, correct?
Yep.
So what made you kind of come back, and how do you feel about how your career actually ended all in all?
Yeah, so going into that 6th year, I mean, I hadn't accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, but even more than that, if I still had eligibility right now, I'd still be wrestling. It's just what I love to do. I just love competing. I love wrestling, and it's what I do. So I was going to be wrestling somewhere regardless, and ended up deciding to stay at Michigan State for my 6th year. Yeah, that looking back, it felt like I wasn't really able to put it together that year. And I mean, I wasn't able to put it together any year, but I don't feel like there was any point during that last year where I really felt like I was doing well. I had some close matches with guys I probably shouldn't have even had close matches with. I did beat one guy who I'd only lost to before. I finally beat Lou Dupre, but I think he was my only good win. I feel like that might make some people sad. He wasn't my only good win that year, but he was my best win that year.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, didn't really have a good season there. Hit the Big Ten tournament. I was feeling all right. I might have been seeded 4th or something like that. And of course, they had Warner seeded 5th. So I wrestled Warner, and it was my closest match with him. I ended up losing on a fleeing the mat call.
Oh man!
I was on bottom, and he wasn't really doing anything. And so I think I might have touched out of bounds, which I didn't think I even did it really that obviously, but touched out of bounds, and they hit me for fleeing the mat and gave him a point. And then I ended up losing 3-2. Or yeah, I lost 3-2. So just kind of awful. So I lost there, won through the backside. That next day I was wrestling Zach Branigal, and I went for a sucker drag, and he moved weird, and I slipped, dislocated my shoulder. So that was basically the end right there. Slipped, dislocated my shoulder. They couldn't put it back in on the mat, so I had to forfeit the match, and they walked me back into some room. Basically, some lady just grabbed me and started jumping on it. And I don't know, it took her a while to get it back in. But Went and got an X-ray a couple of days later. Found out that in addition to tearing the labrum, I also actually broke the cup, which
Oh, geez.
I don't know. Honestly, I might have broke it when she was putting it back in. But like she
Probably
wouldn't
hopping on it.
like she literally though she grabbed it and she was like this. But like she wouldn't have been able to put it back in if she didn't do that. Like it was firmly it was such a weird way that I dislocated it. Like it just was overextended. Like I was right here and then like he moved weird. I fell and because I was overextended, when my hip hit the ground, it was like the kinetic chain that just popped out.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I had to. Well, okay, let me go back. I did still wrestle NCAA's.
Yep.
I threw a brace on it and tried wrestling. Who do I have first round but Jacob Warner? Again.
Right.
I really think that they were doing it to me on purpose. Just the way that I tell people is I'm like, every time that I tried to be somebody, Jacob Warner was there waiting for me, just ready to save me. Even back to high school, the year that I won state, they do like a little highlight video, the state finals. The only time that I was in the highlight video was when I was sitting in the background during Warner's finals match.
Oh, man, they're doing you dirty.
Yeah, like they didn't put my finals match in the highlight video. So the only time I saw myself was Warner was wrestling and I was sitting in the background.
That's best up, dude.
Yeah, every time I tried to be somebody, though, Warner was just right there waiting on me. So Warner beats me up that first match, which honestly, like we were wrestling and so I started on bottom. Or no, I didn't start on bottom. I think I might have started neutral, but I think he took me down or something. And he's working on top, and I felt him like he went to go chop my arm where I had the brace on it. Like I felt him about to, and then I felt him just switch and do some on the other side, and I was like, oh, he's taking pity on me. I was like, oh my God. I was like, he's literally out here being a nice guy to me in the middle of the match. Like I'm actually done. Like if he think like I was like, I'm just that weak right now, apparently, and he can just tell. And so I wrestled that match.
It sounds like he should have been the one that you were kind of like looking at instead of Dean, man, because oh man.
You're probably right.
This is crazy. All the stuff they did dirty to you, man. It's wild.
And yeah, with Warner, I never even saw him during the regular season is what sucked about it too. It was always like anytime that I saw him was either Big Tens or NCAAs, which is like that's game time Warner. Like that's prime time Warner. That was the big thing about him was he would always find a way to All-American.
For sure. Yeah, he would.
So yeah, I was getting prime time Warner every time I wrestled him. But yeah, so I wrestled him, lost, and then I wrestled Andrew Davison, lost to him too. And yeah, it was over after that. And yeah, it was just, I feel like I've said this a lot, but yet again, it was just a terrible time.
Yeah.
it was not fun,
So putting the cap on that. So going off of what you're saying, terrible time. Obviously a 5-time D1 national qualifier. That's an accomplishment in itself.
Yeah.
Do you have, like, obviously you could say, oh, I just wasn't as good as this guy, but I believe, seeing you and wrestling with you that you were definitely should have All-American a couple times. Do you think it was the tournament? Do you think it was them throwing Jacob Warner at you every time that stopped you from All-American, or what?
Dude, it was all Jacob Warner, even when he wasn't at my weight.
Right.
No, I mean, I think that there was like a level of inconsistency with my performances. And I don't really understand why, because I was doing the right things. The majority of the years, I was doing the right things. I was training hard. I was getting extra time on the mat. I wasn't like putting bad things in my body. Yeah, it's something I haven't quite figured out. And I'm not like I'm not a religious guy, so I don't necessarily believe like everything happens for a reason. No, I think sometimes things just don't go your way. And so I think that maybe there's some things that I could have done differently as far as like being more adamant about continuing to have my one-on-one practices instead of the full team practices, because both of the times that I went on runs, during the season where I win a bunch of matches in a row, were
Yeah.
times where I was having my own personal practices,
Yeah.
where I was able to personalize stuff to what I do, because I'm just I'm not a normal wrestler. Like, I do a lot of weird stuff, and that kind of takes extra attention to detail.
For sure.
So I think I would have pushed for more one-on-one practices probably earlier in the season instead of just doing them the second half.
Yeah.
But I mean, I gave it my all.
Yeah.
And it's crazy now watching a lot of these, you see the high schoolers who are. It's a dangerous time to wrestle a high school wrestler.
Right.
It's a really dangerous time to wrestle a high school wrestler, and
Yeah.
you see these guys hopping in and beating NCAA champs while they're still in high school. And you
Yeah.
look back on your own career, you're like, dude, maybe I just never had it. You're like, it's like these guys have it from the start. And I think that there's just some people, for some people, it just clicks. And I guess for other people, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. It's something I think about every day, though, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I completely understand it, man. It's for me, and obviously I didn't have the career that I had. I had another surgery out of college, and kind of was never the same after that. Had to decide whether I was gonna be able to walk or be done with wrestling type deal.
Yeah.
But it was hard for me for a long time, and I loved wrestling, and it's it's something to me. Like, I'll be 24 next month, and I'm like, dude, I'm still
You're
I'm still
young.
competitive, and I'm still young, and I wanted to still wrestle, but now I help out at a wrestling facility. It's like, maybe that's what I was called to do. Maybe, it's like I really wanted to wrestle, and it just didn't work out. I mean, it is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's really the only way I can kind of look at that, and it's probably like you had a great career, and I think that you look at that as a success for sure, because you can only look at it one of two ways. It's like, oh, it was a complete disappointment, or it was oh, that was a success, right? So
Yeah, I guess that that's kind of one of those things that people don't really tell you about, or people don't really prepare you for, is that kind of period after sports where it's
yes, yep.
only a couple guys can be champions. Only a couple of guys can actually hop in and really fully achieve what they wanted to achieve. And it's
Yep.
as far as mentally dealing with that kind of post sports time period, I don't think that there's a lot of preparation for that. Yeah.
There isn't. I was in a bad place for a long time. Really kind of when I was deciding whether I was gonna try to keep wrestling or if I was gonna be done with it. And eventually me being done with it was the smart decision. But I was kind of like, dude, who am I now? I mean, I've always been Sage the wrestler. It's like,
Yeah.
now I actually have to go be a normal human being. Like, what is this crap?
Dude, it's just okay, you're, I don't know. Do you work a 9 to 5?
So I work, actually, it's funny, I got to tell you this. I work with Gabe Dean. So I work with Max Dean and Gabe Dean kind of every day. So that's kind of funny. And then I run a wrestling facility as well. So this is actually hilarious. I love this.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, I don't know if from Max's point of view, I don't know if he even viewed me as a rival, because like I said, he mostly beat my ass. I beat him one time, and I felt like he took that one time really personally moving forward. I feel like he always had a little something extra for me in every match that we had after that.
Yeah, he's like, nah, dude, this guy beat me, so I gotta beat him up.
Basically, that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
But you go to now I work night shifts, so I'm working full time, and I go in here and I'm sitting here at my desk and I'm like, dude, I used to compete on the weekends, and crowds of people used to watch me wrestle and stuff, and it's and now I'm just sitting here and during the NCAA tournament, I put it on the TV at my job, and the guys watching was like, oh, you were on the club team, and I was like, no, I was on the actual college wrestling team. He's like, oh, so did you compete at this tournament? And I was like, a couple times.
Dude, he's just no clue. And that's the thing. You talk to people that don't know anything about wrestling. They literally have no idea what it means to like accomplish the things that you've accomplished.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, that's cool, man. But it's like, no, dude, you'll never actually know like how hard that actually was.
No, they'll never actually know. And it's like it's
Right.
just it's so weird being like a normal person. And I'm kind of, you said that you kind of dealt with it early on, which sucks. That you like kind of had to have a surgery that made you reassess. But I had a surgery after my last year, the lateral J procedure on the shoulder. And I've like been trying to wrestle since then, trying to compete since then, and like I'm just not the same guy. Like I think I wrestled 3 or 4 times. I even just wrestled a couple weeks ago out in Vegas. And I just like I can't string stuff together the same way I used to be able to. So I'm in that area where I'm like, if I really want to be successful, I probably have to quit my job. Which, if making money wasn't also a passion for me, then I might be more open to that. Like if I won the lottery tomorrow, I would just go somewhere and I just train. I'd either just go somewhere and train, or I'd go somewhere and I coach and train at the same time or whatever, because wrestling is just what I love. It's what I love to do. And that's why I'm still getting on the mat every day with the MSU guys. But I love making money too. So so here I am doing my current job, and I'm like, if I really want to be competitive, I probably have to focus on this full time, but I don't think I can at my current place in life. So
that's actually touching on a couple of my next questions here. So are you going to plan on trying to continue to compete in freestyle and Greco then, or?
Yeah, so I'm kind of at a crossroads right now. The next decision, or not the next decision, the next competition would be, I want to say the Bill Farrell, which is like way later this year.
Yep.
So I'll have to decide if I want to compete at that, because what I've kind of realized is just doing the U.S. Open is not enough. Like you have to get other competitions under your belt. So I have to decide if I want to do the Bill Farrell or if I just want to hang it up. But like, I don't know. It sits badly on my soul to end on a loss the way I did. So
yeah.
So like I feel like there's more in there.
Yeah, I get it, man. So you're gonna continue it though. You're gonna keep trying and kind of evaluate from this over this next year then, or what?
Yeah, tentatively, and I guess I'll be playing it by ear. I don't know. I think this summer I might do a couple like little folk style tournaments. Like they have like the open division at like folk style nationals or whatever. I think I'm just gonna show up to that and just I already feel bad for whoever is gonna be there, but.
I love it.
And the funniest part about that is it's not even college kids. It's just like people's dads and stuff.
I know, that's why it's going to be the best thing when you show up there. They'd be like, what the hell, dude? Why we got to wrestle this guy?
So I'm looking forward to just showing up at that random tournament and competing.
That's awesome. Are you going to ever consider coaching, or are you doing a little bit of coaching now, or what's your plan with that?
Yeah, so I'm not like officially an MSU coach, but effectively I am, and I'm in there wrestling with the guys every day, and especially for freestyle and Greco, I go out with the team and I'm coaching fully for that. And then during the normal season, I'm coaching red shirts.
Nice.
But like I said, if I won the lottery or all of a sudden I didn't care about making money, I would be coaching tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's just not enough money in it for me. I think there's more money in cybersecurity.
That's what I was actually going to ask you. The next thing there. So you left your college degree was computer engineering. Are you doing that right now for work, or what are you doing for work right now?
Yeah, so my undergrad was computer engineering, and then my grad was cybercrime digital investigation. So I dislocate the shoulder in 2023. And I go and I get the surgery April of 2023. And I'm sitting there like, dude, like I was supposed to be wrestling right now. I was supposed to be like focusing freestyle from here on out. But I'm sidelined for like 6 to 9 months. Let me go ahead and get some experience in my field, make a little bit of money. This could be nice. And yeah, I've been working ever since. So that's how I got was that last injury. Basically, because of that last injury, I am still working to this day. So I did an
Yeah.
internship that year, just being like a security engineering intern. Did that for 6 months, and then I started with my current company, which is Jackson National Life, just like
Okay.
a big, like a Fortune 500 insurance company, and I do
Awesome.
cybersecurity there. 3 days a week, night shifts. Get on at 7 p.m. Get off at 7:30 a.m.
Okay. Awesome. Do you enjoy that?
I enjoy parts of it. The cool
Yeah.
part, so I always tell people I'm basically just a computer janitor.
Okay.
I'm basically just checking stuff to make sure that people are doing what they're supposed to do. I'd say that the biggest part of it that's like kind of fun is like
Okay.
the investigative work. Like, I see something happen on the network and I have to go and kind of put the pieces together and like paint a picture
Mhm.
and say, okay, well, this is what the person was doing and this is why they did this on their laptop.
Okay.
This isn't really that big of a deal. Like, we don't really need to worry about this. And like, so I kind of paint the picture for the upper management. So yeah, I mean, there's enjoyable parts of it.
Nice.
The money's really good. Well, okay, the
Yeah.
money's pretty good. It could be better, but the money's pretty
Okay.
good. Like it's more than enough for me
Okay.
to live on and live comfortably, and yeah. And then also working
Uh,
night shift, that means that I'm able to sleep a little bit in the morning and then wake up and go and practice with the guys. So that's why I'm doing night shift, is so I could still be on the mats as much as possible.
okay. That's awesome, man. It sounds like a great thing. For me
Yeah.
personally, I don't know enough about computers or any of that stuff. So anything you'd probably say to me, I'd be like, dude, no clue what you're talking about in terms of cybersecurity stuff. So
Hey, I don't know much about computers either. Yeah, there's constant imposter syndrome. Yeah.
yeah. I love it though. That's awesome, man. So new segment on this podcast here I started is 5 things you can't live without in your daily routine. So what are the 5 things that you can't live without in Cam Caffey's daily routine? Go.
The worst part is I got the preview on this and I didn't come up with anything. So 5 things I can do. They have to be items or can they be like just like things I do?
5 things you do or items, whatever one you want.
Okay, so I have to set my phone. This right here. This is the moneymaker right here. Um
Yep.
my car. This is gonna be really basic stuff. So my phone, my car, my pressure cooker. I do a lot
Okay.
of stuff with the pressure cooker. My cast iron pan, because I cook a
I
lot
love
with
it.
my cast iron pan, and maybe my pick for
Your
my hair.
pick
Yeah.
for the pro.
Yep. Gotta keep it all fluffy. So I'd say those are my 5 things. Yeah.
Okay.
Very
I
boring.
like it.
I
Yeah,
don't
it's
think I have anything interesting.
I yeah, nothing interesting that you do in your everyday routine. No extra
No.
no crazy PED performance enhancing drug for Cameron Caffey.
No, yeah, I wouldn't say that those are my top 5. And I need to start lifting again. Yeah.
just on second thought, let's get back in the gym, right, and get on some PEDs, right?
Yeah, might as well. I'm surprised more
Yeah,
regular people don't do that kind of stuff. Like, if you're not getting tested, if you don't have to like pass USADA test or something, why would you not try and look the best you could look? I don't know. I'm still on the
right.
fence about that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing, man. Believe me, I thought about it before when I got a little bit bigger coming through high school. I'm like, man, maybe I should hop on the bodybuilding trend and just hop on some gear or something. And it's like, nah,
Right. Just like look good.
probably just stick to the rest. Yeah. But all right, man. So last thing here for you. We're almost halfway through 2025. What would this next year look like for you if you could paint the picture overall?
Whew. The next year. Dude, I honestly have no clue. I feel like I'm just feeling stuff out and playing it by ear, and like,
Yeah.
I'm in a good position in that I guess I'm comfortable where I am, but I don't really think that growth comes from being comfortable. So
No, exactly.
I don't know. I've gotta probably start scheduling some stuff that challenges me a little bit more. Um, I don't know. I guess professionally, just learning and growing and trying to develop myself professionally. Um, and that's basically just learning more about computers at this point.
Yeah.
I wish that I'd spent more time working on networking back when I was in college, like
Yeah.
networking with people and
Right.
and networking with computers too, actually. But so
Yeah.
I wish I had a bigger social circle to draw from. So maybe taking more time to improve my social circle, I say that might be in there. I
Okay.
definitely could use more people in my circle. Um,
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what's going on wrestling wise. I think this summer I'm just gonna try and get as big as possible just for fun. I want to start
Okay.
lifting and just eat as much as I can, just dirty bulk or whatever they call it, and just get
Yep.
big. Because even before I cut down for this tournament, I got up to like 220 or I think 221 was my top weight, and I was feeling big and beefy. So I want to get back up there again just for fun, just because eating's fun and being big's kind of fun. But I also need to start. I need to have like a more consistent workout regimen. So like I want to start also running. I've never been a big runner, but I need to start like running, biking, just kind of have like a base level cardio. Um, and I
Right.
think that basically by paying attention to all of that kind of stuff, like the physical stuff, lifting and cardio, I'll be in kind of the best position to decide if I want to keep competing moving forward. So that decision will
Absolutely.
probably come up in the next year or so. Um,
Okay.
I don't even think that there'll be like any kind of Instagram post or anything about it once I make the decision. It'll probably just be a silent thing to myself. But I don't know. I much
You don't
rather
want
have
to.
a retirement. Mhm.
I said you don't want to throw out an Instagram post to have comments going crazy or
Yeah.
what?
Well, I think I much rather have a retirement where I leave my shoes on the mat than have a retirement where it's just me putting up an Instagram post. So
Agreed.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping that that's still in my future. That more of a, a warrior's death is in my future as opposed to Instagram death.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, hopefully it doesn't come by the hand of Jacob Warner. That's all we care about, right?
dude. Hopefully not. I just talked to him a couple weeks ago, and he said he's done competing. So I don't think I
Oh,
have to
is
worry
he?
about it. Yeah, he just helps out
Man.
with the Hawkeye wrestling program. So
Okay.
yeah,
That's
good
awesome,
guy.
man. But yeah, yeah, good guy. But we kind of don't like you, Jacob. No, just
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. But Cam, I really appreciate you joining me for season 3, episode 13, the Locked In Podcast. This is it's been 2-hour conversation, and it doesn't even feel like it, man.
yeah.
It's been a great conversation. So,
No, yeah. This has
um,
been very fun. Yeah,
yeah, I really appreciate you coming on here. There's a lot into your story, and you competed at a very high level. So just getting you on here, and it's been a minute since I've been able to talk to you too. So, just great catching up with you, and we'll have to keep in touch down the road here, and I'll send you over one of these hats here in the mail after this
oh
as
yeah,
well.
for sure. Nice.
Awesome,
I
man.
hats
All
don't
right.
really work too well for me, but I'll try to wear it a little bit.
Yeah, I know you might be like sitting up on top, but it's gonna be
Yeah,
tough. Maybe you can adjust it to the last snap and just push it down or something.
yeah. I'll figure something out.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you. Thanks to everybody watching back home. Make sure to follow Cam on the Lamb on Instagram. Make sure to go and throw some crazy shade in his comment section. He loves that. He'll read every single one of your comments. So
Read every single one. Yeah.
I love it. All right, man. You have a great day, and I appreciate you joining again.
Yeah, man. Thanks a ton for having me on. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, man.